Yes, thank you again for everyone's patience. Gracias por su paciencia. The question I begin with today, la cuestión donde empezamos hoy, is how much is your pride worth to you? ¿Cuánto vale tu orgullo? O sea, para ti. How much are you willing to endure to keep your own personal pride intact? ¿Cuánto estás, o sea, dispuesto, cuán dispuesto estás a aguantar para proteger tu orgullo? Many of us are willing to endure a lot. Muchos de nosotros sí estamos ya para aguantar mucho. Some of us are willing, though, to let it go fairly easily. Otros de nosotros estamos ya dispuestos de dejarlo fácilmente. It often depends on, I think, who it is that we are doing it for. O sea, para muchos de nosotros depende en para quién lo estamos haciendo. I know in the Middle East culture, o sea, yo sé que en el Medio Oriente, en esa cultura, losing face is no easy thing. O sea, para humillarse no es algo fácil. I can attest to this from firsthand experience. Yo puedo testificar que eso sí es cierto de mi propia experiencia allá. And I think most of my friends from the Middle East would probably agree. Yo pienso que la mayoría de mis amigos también, o sea, estarían de acuerdo a la mejor. Saving face is essential. O sea, para uno tener su orgullo o ser honrado, eso sí es esencial. Especially for those who live near their family and friends, especialmente los que viven ahí cerquitas de sus familiares o sus amigos. They of course, people want to stay, they want to be respected. O sea, gente quiere ser respetada. And I love the story of the prodigal son. O sea, me encanta mucho la historia esa del hijo pródigo. But mostly because I think there's something that all of us can relate to in that story. Hay algo que cada uno de nosotros podemos ver en nosotros mismos cuando leamos o escuchemos a esa historia. Because here the case is the child wants, the child feels like the parents owe him. O sea, el hijo siente que realmente los papás deben algo a él. In fact demands it, right? Se los piden, pero se los regan, pero dice que se lo merece. And because he feels that, whatever, he wants to do with the inheritance, right? He feels that he can do anything with it, and it's going to be better than whatever the parents would do with it. So, él siente que él sabe mejor que sus papás de cómo gastar su herencia. And it's his anyway, right? Se pertenece a él. And so, for whatever reason, the father gives him the inheritance. He gives him all that he owes him, all this money. Le da todo su dinero a este hijo. And it just reminds me, I think, any of us who have kids, cualquier de nosotros que tenemos hijos, or we have been kids, que hemos sido hijos, we can relate to this in some ways, right? Podemos ver algo muy familiar en eso. Porque tenemos eso en común. Yeah, and I think for some of us it hits really close, and some of us maybe not as close. Para uno de nosotros sí es algo muy, muy normal, y otros menos. But he falls flat on his face, doesn't he, the son? O sea, el hijo se cae en la cara. O sea, no es responsable para nada. He's not responsible. He wastes everything, malgasta todo, and he's left in destitution. Está dejado así, destruido, in another country, en otro país. It's amazing, the story. Es una maravilla que él puede sobrevivir. It's amazing that he lives it all, that he survives it. But think about the perspective, and it's not hard for many of us, pero pienso de la perspectiva de los papás. So think about the perspective of the parents. And we know this, many of us, we're familiar with these feelings. Estamos ya, sabemos como esos sentimientos que tenemos como papás, hacia nuestros hijos, how we feel about our own kids. And to think that our child has left and is living in destitution somewhere, or is in trouble. Y para pensar que nuestro hijo está afuera, pero está en problemas o destituido, desesperado, it grieves us, nos hace triste. And so you can just imagine it from the parents' point of view, many of us. You know, I'm sure the parents weren't sleeping very much. A lo mejor los papás no se estaban durmiendo mucho. They weren't drinking wine, no estaban tomando vino, you know, they were probably not even eating very much, no estaban comiendo mucho. And why? Because something was missing, porque les hacía falta algo, something, part of them, una parte de ellos mismos, their child, este hijo. Finally, the child returns home, doesn't he? He's destitute and he has nothing else. He returns disgraced. He has to swallow his own pride to return to his parents. Se humilla para regresarse a la casa de sus papás. And in the story, when Jesus is telling it, Jesus says that when the father sees the son afar off, cuando ve el papá, el hijo, ya todavía muy lejos, pero sí lo ve, what does he do? He becomes overjoyed. ¿Qué hace el papá? O sea, se pone bien gozoso, bien, está bien contento, aliviado, con gozo y con amor. And he sees his son from afar off, and everything changes, cambia. And it says that, well, Jesus was telling the story, he says the father runs to his son, corre hacia su hijo. And I can tell you, in the Middle East, yo les digo, en el Medio Oriente, this is almost impossible. Esto sí es imposible. And I'll tell you why. Because for an old person, para un viejo, to lift up his tunic, porque he's going to have to lift his tunic to run, para agarrar y así hacerle para arriba su túnico, es algo que no hacen. It's something that no one does. To see an old man do that, or an old person lift up their tunic and begin to run, is just something you do not see, because it is inappropriate. It's foolish. It's dishonoring to that person to let an old person do that. Para dejar que un viejo que haga eso, corriendo así con su ropa así, no es apropiado en la cultura. And so here we are. The father runs to his son. Already is something dishonoring in the culture. Se deshonra así in como ama a su hijo, and how he loves him physically and visibly. The son is coming, swallowing his pride, humbling himself. Viene el hijo todo humilde, sin orgullo. And then the father also does the same thing. Si no le hace nada de la cultura, no le importa su honor, la cultura, los costumbres, nada. He's not thinking about any of that. All he's thinking about is love. Love for his son, love for his child. Nothing else matters. No one else matters in that moment, as we see in the story. The other son gets jealous, but that's a different thing. Como vemos en esa historia, ese cuento, porque el otro hijo también se pone celoso. But that's not the point here that I'm trying to make. No es el tema de este sermón, porque en este sermón, este mensaje, in this message, I feel like we're seeing the father losing face, el papá humillándose to love his son, amar a su hijo. And it's such a beautiful story of grace. Es una historia hermosísima de gracia. And that when John the Baptist had said of Jesus, y cuando dijo Juan el Bautista de Jesús, I must decrease, yo debo de ser menos, and Jesus must increase. Y Jesús más. It makes me think of what it means for us to swallow our pride. Y que para mí me hace pensar en nosotros, como nosotros podemos humillarnos, really humble ourselves, and to love another, y amar a otro. And if we're to love like this man loved, like this father, y si debemos de amar como este papá amaba, then we're almost there. We're almost there. Ya mero llegamos. The thing that it takes sometimes is to be willing. Lo que a veces requiere es estar dispuesto to humble ourselves, humillarnos, swallow our pride, perder nuestro orgullo, and to just love y amar without excuses, sin pretexto, without reason, sin razón, but to love because love is required. Ama porque amor es requerido. Es necesario. It's necessary. And what we have here with when John says he must decrease and Jesus must increase is the equation. Tenemos ahí la fórmula de cuando dice Juan que se debe ser menos y Jesús más. Esa es la fórmula. Matemáticas. We must decrease. Jesus must increase. And what that means is because Jesus said, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Porque dijo Jesús, lo que haces para los menos queridos, amados en tu sociedad, lo que haces para ellos, haces para mí. That is how we need to think about it. To decrease, para ser menos, and to increase Christ, crecer más Cristo en nuestras vidas, is to love all those who are not loved, is amar los que no son amados, is to love the people that have been left out, es amar los rechazados, the rejected ones, the ones on the margins of society, los que están en las orillas de la sociedad. That's where we need to be. That's where Jesus is. Ahí está Jesús. And I know I'm echoing a lot of the things that we already know, y yo sé que estoy repitiendo muchas de las cosas que ya sabemos. But I don't think we can hear it enough. Yo creo que no es suficiente oírlo solo unas veces, but every day, pero todos los días. Let us think about how we must decrease and Jesus must increase. Deja que nosotros pensemos en cómo nosotros debemos de ser menos y Jesús más. God bless you. Que Dios les bendiga. Thank you very much. Gracias.